Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a Monday night's Talking Town. We've not done a Talking Town on a Monday, but of course we played yesterday, so this is what would normally be your Sunday afternoon, but we were all busy yesterday on the Sunday as it was, watching Ipswich Town get held to a 1-1 draw. And that's right, we were held to the 1-1 draw. Have it right, we should have probably taken all 3 points out of that game. But more importantly, I want to know what you think, what you feel this evening. So please get active in our live chat. We'll try and get as many opinions onto the show. We'll try and build the conversation around what it is you want to talk about. I'll try and put a link into the chat as well, so you can come and have your say if you so wish to. Chris McTaggart has kicked us off with a fantastic start. Thank you very much, Chris, for the kind donation of 10 New Zealand dollars. Chris says, as a Kiwi tractor boy, happy with the draw. Very with little more accuracy, should have been a win. Lynn says, good evening, all brilliant point and a brilliant team performance. It certainly was. Lots of comments coming in. Do, as I say, get them in, and we'll try and feature as many as we can on the show and build the conversation around them. And we are partnered with Match Bingo. Play Match Bingo, win cash prizes. And each time you play Match Bingo, you do support the crucial work of the East Anglian Air Ambulance. I can't quite point to it, but you do support the crucial work of the East Anglian Air Ambulance. Download the app wherever you normally download your app. £2 bingo card. Over 18s only. Be gamble aware. Rob says, evening all. It is strange in me saying I'm slightly disappointed with coming away with only a draw against the Giants, who are Man United. It certainly was. Now, helping me to break it down is none other than Matthew Phillips in his town shirt. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Just so everyone knows, the boiler is back on in the Media Mogul mansion. So nice and toasty now, thank God.
More importantly, have you taken that town top off since yesterday, or did you sleep in it as well? Or have you got to work in it?
I didn't have this one on. I was saving it for tonight's show. I was going to double up and wear it yesterday and tonight. It got too sweaty. So I wore another one yesterday.
All right, excellent. And completing the trio this evening is somebody else in a town shirt as well, but not the same shirt. It is none other than the peaky one, Mark Tuxford, sporting a very nice 90s ITFC shirt. That is 90s,
retro shirt. So, retros are always the good ones.
They are. First town pad that comes to mind when you see that shirt, Matt?
Kiwomya.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Kiwomya, my lord.
When 92. When you saw it on the hanger for the first time, Tux, and you thought, oh, I'm having that. What player came to your mind when you saw it?
Well, I got it bought as a gift, so I didn't even take it off the hanger.
Wow. Luxury.
So a player didn't really come to mind as such. It was just quite a nice gift to receive, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I like it. Very well. Good gift buying in the Tux household. With Christmas coming up, perhaps I need to find out who gave it to you to unpick their brain, because my gifts are terrible. I once got somebody an iPod pillow when they didn't even own an iPod. So it went down like a lead balloon. But we're not here to talk about gifts. We're going to talk about yesterday's 1-1 draw against the powerhouses that are Man United. How did you see it, first of all, Tux? As your first, you're back into the room, as it were. How did you see it?
I think before the game, I was very much willing to take a point. And I didn't see us getting any more than that, because I think going into the game, there was lots of talk about, Ruben coming in, being, a new manager, getting a new manager bounce, getting this team finally sort of playing, if you like. But it couldn't have been more further from the truth, really. I think it was more a case that, we really showed up. We really took it to them. Obviously, the opening couple of minutes, first 80 seconds weren't great, conceding the goal. But otherwise, I can't really remember Muric making a save. I can't really remember them troubling us too much. I know there was two good, very, very good challenges. One for Kajusti and was it O'Shea, or maybe Burgess, that made a really last-ditch challenge. But other than that, I don't really think they troubled us, if I'm honest. And it's one of the, I think, I've been watching football for many a year now, and watching Premier League football and looking at teams like Manchester United, and they are really poor. When you think about it. And I know, that's not taking any credit away from us, because I thought we played very well yesterday. But, ultimately, United still United at the end of the day. You still got to turn up. You still got to, put your best show on. And I thought we did do that. And as I say, it was a shame that we couldn't win it, really.
Yeah, I've titled the show. Should have been all 3 points. I said at the top of the show, Matt, it feels like, Town were held to the 1-1 draw. You've heard Tux's excellent insight there to kick us off. What did you think?
Well, some of us said it was going to be 1-1 if you'd been paying attention to the preview show. We'd said it would be 1-1. I'm giving you credit for that as well, Martin. It was a brilliant performance, wasn't it? And to come back from, as Tux rightly says, you go 1 down in 80 seconds. Peter Drury shouting, "Utopia!" You just knew.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, I know. I like Peter Drury, but most of his stuff's like pre-planned. You can just tell it's kind of scripted. If United are going to score first, he'll come out this one line. But look, there's been times before when Town have gone 1 down and we could have collapsed like a deck of cards, but we didn't. And we got back into the game and we actually grew into the game. Excuse me. And I think the 3-4-3 that they obviously debuted yesterday allowed Ipswich time on the ball, allowed us Amari and Morsy to be able to turn a lot on the ball. I think you saw a lot of that yesterday. Gave us a lot of space. And of course, Amari gets the space in order to fire in the equaliser. I thought it was a phenomenal display. And look, we're looking for blue tinted glasses again when we go. We should have won that game. Anana made 2 great saves from Delap, both of them from Delap at point blank range as well. I mean, look, I was up. Look, if you watch it, Tux, the first one in the first half, Delap's already off, going to go and celebrate. If you watch it from one of the angles when Anana gets the hand to it, and he was very unlucky. It was a great cross from Burns, by the way, for the second chance that he had. But I thought it was a phenomenal performance. The crowd was great. It was a Sunday, the 4:30, all that. The world was watching. And as I said on the short video we did, mine, once again, the world can see why this club has gone back to back and why there's a buzz around McKenna. There's a buzz around Amorim. There's a buzz around McKenna. And you saw the reasons why yesterday. Phenomenal. Really good performance. Really good.
We're certainly growing into the Premier League, and we've done that for a couple of weeks now. And obviously, Leicester, I think as McKenna said in his post-game comments yesterday, if decision had gone the right way there, we could have taken 3 points. And there's been some really promising performances. And yesterday was one of them. But it didn't start well, as you've both highlighted. Going a goal behind inside 2 minutes, not the greatest way. Utopia, as Drury said, Tux. It didn't feel like utopia for me. I thought, oh no, this is a real. And as McKenna said, the game could get away from you. Their motivation is high, new manager, but we rallied. But that opening goal, lots of conversation about, and as fans, you like to point the finger, you like to say, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. But talk us through it from your perspective. They've broken away. You've got Kajust and Davis both making challenges, getting nowhere near. Muric, is he commanding enough? How did you see that whole passage of play for that goal?
Yeah, I guess I had quite a good view of it being behind the goal in the north stand. So to me, it kind of looked like, because I'm literally right behind the goal, so I'm essentially sit on top of the goal net, really, from my view. So when I saw it, I felt that Muric must have made a howler or something like that, because it looked like to me, all it had to be was just picked up, essentially, but then completely misjudged it. So it still looked like that when I watched it back on the replay. Obviously, there were challenges that didn't, get made in the lead up to that goal. But I did think Muric should have done a bit better with, certainly claiming it. He just sort of felt like he was waiting for it to come to him in a sense. But obviously Rashford, obviously got there ahead of him. But you shouldn't be kind of waiting for it to come to you. You should be, as you say, be more commanding.
Very passive, wasn't he, in that moment? In terms of, if you command your area, very passive. I thought live, the same as yourself, Tux. I mean, you're right near me. I'm on the cobbled stand. You're in the north, and I can see you most games. So your views, not too dissimilar from mine. But I thought it was live viewing was Muric's lack of command in that moment. But equally, you've got Kajust and Davis, Matt, making challenges inside 2 minutes. I perhaps I'm being cynical, but I just like to see the Man United player, be brought down there inside 2 minutes, get the telling off from the referee, who yesterday, by the way, I thought was very good. The best referee I think I've seen in a long time.
For a number of years.
But I've not seen him. I don't think I've seen him yet. I don't think he's refereed a game I've been at recently. And I'd like to see Davis or Coach just take him down there. Stop it his tracks.
Coach tried, didn't they, on the touchline? But the problem was the yellow starting position was ahead of them. He's so rapid.
Very true.
Again, we said that. Look, I thought he might, in that Leicester game, I think he'd played kind of like a hybrid E10 winger role in the 3-0 win at Old Trafford. But certainly he was a wing back yesterday. I mean, that was a masterclass. He's only a young lad. But I mean, I remember you saying about him Martin, when he was at Sunderland as a player
Yeah.
you'd like to see at Portman Road. And he did, but in the Premier League for Man United.
Yeah.
And it was a great run. He was too quick. You could argue maybe Davis had already pushed up too far. Karius does make the challenge, doesn't get to him. It's not a bad little cross in. And as Tux rightly says, you would expect Muric to come to the ball rather than wait for it to come to him. And O'Shea should have done better trying to block the cross. None of those things happen, and it's not a bad little ball in. And Rashford, the demotivated Rashford, we were told, goes in and toe pokes it home. I mean, I've never rated Rashford. I've always just thought he was a bit of a League One striker with an MBE, but you stick him in the box, and he's got an instinctive finish about him. But for whatever reason, you stick him anywhere else over the pitch, and he looks disinterested, ordinary. I think he had 13 or 14 touches yesterday. United fans, I was chatting to my mates after the game and I was on the phone to me. He was still moaning about him, even though he'd scored. They were like, oh, bloody hell, when's he going to leave? And of course, he gets hauled, doesn't he, in the second half as well? So,
I must admit, I didn't think he was, you could say that for the whole of the United team, but I didn't think he was brilliant whatsoever. I thought, other than the goal, I don't know what else he really offered. And looking at him, up against, players like O'Shea and Burgess, I don't think he caused them really any trouble whatsoever, if I'm honest.
No, he didn't. No, I think Burgess and O'Shea really, other than that moment, had him well and truly under control. And it's a shame because he's got all the ability in the world. You see it in sprinkles, but he just doesn't put it all together as a consistent body of work, which is a shame, particularly as an England supporter, because you want to see that ability on a consistent level that then plays for England, etc.
He had a good goal haul a couple of seasons ago, didn't he? And then you fast forward the tape, he doesn't even make the Euros, and he's in and out the United squad. It's interesting he got the nod over Rasmus. I would have thought he would have got the role yesterday for them, but there you go.
I think there's one thing that did make me cringe a little bit, and I know he was winding our fan base up after he scored, but the chant afterwards where something about you let your country down. I didn't really agree with that. Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
Maybe it was just more from the north, but I didn't really agree with that, if I'm honest. I thought that was a bit foul.
Yeah, very much so. I agree with you there, Tux. That's very, I didn't even hear that at all. Did you hear it from your side? Because you're West Side, Matt.
No, didn't hear that at all.
We just need one more person here from the south. We've got north, east, west, and south all lined up here.
Representation.
Absolutely, from all four sides of the ground. But okay, so we go a goal behind, but we rally, and overall, we'll come to the goal. But we're the better team in that first half. We well and truly deserve to go in level, if not leading. Who sort of stood out? Let's break down individual performances before we get to star boy Amari Hudson's wonder goal. Again, jury on the commentary. I don't mind that so much this time, because it's a town player. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it every day of the week. But Karius, I want to start there because I think I said yesterday on my 4-minute live in the car, cultured player, technically so good, can make any pass. I'm really falling in love with Jens Karius, Matt. And he is, the bonus of staying in the Premier League is the bonus in itself. But if we've got the obligation to buy him if we stay in the Premier League, that's even more reason because he's fast becoming a big favourite of mine.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that tackle he does in the second half. On Garnacho, was it? Was it Garnacho?
Yes.
I jumped off my seat like we'd scored. Phenomenal. When I was watching it back on the Sky highlights, you see everyone else in the Churchmans do exactly that. It was phenomenal. I thought they were going to score from that, and that would be the end of it. But it was a brilliant tackle. So that now gives McKenna a headache now moving forward, doesn't it? Because they've brought in the former England Player of the Year, Phillips. But the problem with Phillips is he's not going to give you that energy that Karius brings you. And I think actually that syncs really well with Morsy. And you saw it yesterday against Manchester United, for crying out loud. Phillips wouldn't have got back and made that tackle, would he? They'd have scored United there and we probably would have lost. So he's not that box-to-box player that Karius gives you. So there's a headache there for McKenna moving forward because he's going to leave someone who's 150 grand a week or whatever. I don't know what we're paying him on his wages. So he ain't paying all that. But is he going to be sitting on the bench? But I don't see how you can break up Morsy and Karius. I think they look really good together.
Yeah, what do you think?
Spurs and United.
What do you think, Saz? Obviously, if we do stay in the Premier League, Karius is potentially the future of that position, being that obligation to buy. Is it hard to drop him out of the side, despite obviously all the things that Matt said there about Calvin Phillips?
Yeah, I think it is hard to drop him out of the side. I think I like Phillips, but I think the more that I've seen Karius play, especially against Tottenham, especially against United, he really has been a great sort of partner for Morsy. And I think it is down to what Matt's saying in terms of the energy sort of levels there as well. There was a couple of bits flying in a mate's WhatsApp group yesterday where one mate said to me that he doesn't really know what Karius offers. And I couldn't have disagreed with him anymore, really. I didn't know where he was coming from with that because, you know, the tackle that he made was great. You know, his all-round sort of contribution. I think his passing range is quite good as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So for me, he is probably the number one partner at the moment, certainly alongside Morsy.
Mentioned obviously the skipper, Sam Morsy. What a journey he's been on, and I think the players are probably getting a little bit sick and tired of hearing the words. What a journey you've been on! You've been to this club and that club, and you've gone through this level and that level. And I think McKenna said himself, no one's patting himself on the back and saying how proud we are of each other. We've got a job to do, and it's staying in this division or something along those lines. But what a journey it's been on, Tux, for Sam Morsy. And there's a few people who came into the season with question marks. Will he adapt to it? Will he have the pace? I listened to Jamie Redknapp speak about him yesterday, which, still seems bizarre to be watching Super Sunday and seeing Town players being spoken about, in detail, because I'm used to, having no one talk about Ipswich Town. But how good has he been? Because he, yesterday again, was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think he's just really, it's the backbone of what we are as a football team, I think. I know we mentioned about his journey quite a bit, and it's getting a lot of sort of plaudits at the moment. But ultimately, you've still got to play well in the Premier League to justify your space. And I think he is one of the first names on the team sheet for us. Every game he's playing in, there's no question in that. But he's kind of got that sort of demeanor about him where he doesn't look like he's particularly fit. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, his fitness levels aren't there. It kind of looks like when he's running, he doesn't look very fit to me. But I think what he offers is very hard to replace, especially in modern day football, because he has got that kind of box to box a bit about him. But he's always afraid. He's never afraid to put a tackle in.
No.
And that's obviously what he's really been sort of known for, being at Ipswich. But I thought he was absolutely unreal yesterday. This is a guy that really kind of just turns up all of the time, very rarely under a 7 out of 10 each week. He's kind of very much an 8 each week, really. So, I'm really pleased for him. But I don't use this word lightly, but he is a legend of this club, from where he's taken us on the pitch. And he's a great captain. He's up there with the likes of Bat Holland and everyone else. So, yeah.
His ball control, is so sticky, Matt. It's so tight to him. Occasionally, you watch him, you think there's no way he can turn out of that situation, and he does. He's just developed, from where he was when Paul Cook came in to where he is today. It's a massive transformation, and it's something we've all seen unfold in front of our very eyes. And again, question marks coming into the season. Can he step up? Will the pace be too much, etc.? And he's taken to it effortlessly. It's really amazing.
Yeah. It's the winning mindset, isn't it? And credit to Paul Cook for getting him to Town in the first place. It's easily forgotten that, isn't it? He dropped down a division to come and work with Paul Cook, albeit it didn't last very long, sadly. But
not sadly. I mean, you can't say not sad. You can't say sadly when we're sitting in the Premier League 2 years later.
No, I'm just thinking from Paul Cook's point of view.
Oh yeah, from Paul Cook's, very sad. But
you jumped in there when you didn't have to. I've lost my train of thought now. Going back to Morsey's, yes, his running style, Tux. I agree with you. He's always been he looks like he's lumbering.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of look about him, hasn't he? But he reads the game fantastically well.
He does, yeah.
I think he had something like, I just looked it up, something like 84, 85 touches yesterday. And then completion passing rate of 94%. It was like 67 out of 71 against Manchester United. I mean, certainly Cahoos and Morsy looked head and shoulders above Casemiro and Ericsson, I thought, in the centre of the park.
Yeah.
I mean, you're buoyed by the crowd and everything, aren't you? But yeah, you're right, mate. I mean, it's brilliant to see the journey. I know you hate that term, but the journey that Morsy has been on from, coming in at League One, goes through back to back, and there we are in the Premier League, and he's looked good in the last 2 games, absolutely. But look, he's riding the tightrope at the moment, isn't he? Because he's on 4 yellows, so we will see Cahoos and Phillips back again very soon, I think, as we did with Brentford. And it's easy. And it's, once we go and win at Tottenham and we draw with Man United, Phillips and Coos actually I thought was quite a good midfield pairing in the Brentford game. Certainly Phillips. Let's not forget the ball Phillips puts free for the opening goal, the second goal. I can't remember now. Maybe he'd played the part in both. But yeah, you want Morsy to be available all the time, don't you?
Yeah, and up to the red card against Leicester, Phillips I thought was having one of his better games in a town shirt. That was really good, that day. But I wonder, some combinations just work, and Morsy and McKenna are a combination that just work, and you can see it in their relationship. You see it also on the pitch in the way Morsy leads, and you can just that very much that captain manager relationship that you're used to in terms of he knows what McKenna wants, and McKenna knows what Morsy will do for him, and in that role. And I wonder if Morsy just sometimes wishes he'd found McKenna 18 months, 2 years earlier, because the transformation under McKenna has been special. And, he's 31 now, 32. I think he's 31, Morsy.
Yeah, he's actually older than Casemiro and Ericsson.
Didn't look it. He looks about 8 years younger, 10 years younger.
The big question, of course, is when we say that brings the negative, doesn't it? He's not going to be around for much longer, I don't think. So who will play that role for us moving forward? It's going to be the interesting one.
Don't bring problems to the party. Bring positive vibes.
I'm like McKenna, bigger picture thinking. Got to look down.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what's coming.
We got Jeremy says Coyote's gliding around the pitch effortlessly. Colin says Coyote has been quality for weeks. Andy B, Coyote says that if in doubt, take him out attitude. Love it. Just what we need. Mike D, you can't break up the midfield at the minute. 3 unbeaten. Andy said we have to buy Coos when we stay up, don't we? Could be another banging KM Ashton bit of business. Well, I mean, this is a player that Brentford wanted, so it's no surprise to see him, bring that quality.
He didn't go there. It's strange, wasn't he? He supposedly failed the medical, but passed hours.
He had Ashton on the blower. When Ashton phones, you don't say no. That's what happens.
Maybe it was Sheeran. He got on the phone to Delap, got on to Coos. Come on, join the party.
About Sheeran a bit later on. 20 euros from David. David, thank you very much for your generosity. I hope you're well. My friend, as Marcus, a massive credit to McKenna and his coaching team for improving so many players through his tenure at Town. Yeah, actually, and there will be a link for those that are asking. I'm dropping that very shortly. Talk of improvements. Yesterday, I watched a player that we picked up from Accrington and Stanley that couldn't get in McKenna's initial 11 when McKenna took charge. Wasn't in the Premier League starting team, but has now played a series of games tucks at this level. But yesterday I watched him put a cultured ball from the left-hand side of the fence, just in behind the Man United back line for Davis to gallop onto. And I thought, that's Cameron Burgess from Accrington and Stanley. I mean,
he does play that well. They've got a good link up, and we've seen that through the divisions, haven't we?
Yeah, we talk about transformations and improving players. This is another one, Tux, where it's night and day. Yeah. I think he's probably been a bit unfortunate in a way because Greaves has come in and sort of took his place really just straight away without really any. It's just based on his, I guess, form at Hull, I suppose. But I think it's a difficult one for Burgess because I don't know whether he is probably McKenna's first choice moving forward in a way. I think it always comes back to this point where McKenna will pick from tactics and not so much about, who's on form, and things like that. Because you look at someone like Connor Chaplin, another one who's been with us since League One, arguably was probably one of our better players in the last 2 to 3 games before the Tottenham game and couldn't get a start, so he's picking it based on who we're coming up against. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Greaves does then ultimately reclaim his spot. But, while he's been playing, he's been absolutely unreal. And obviously, as Matt says, we've seen those types of passes to Leif Davis. He then crosses it, someone finishes it off. And it's kind of, sort of poetry in motion, if you like, really. But it is nice to see. And I like Burgess and I like the way he's kind of handled himself in times where he hasn't been playing, because he could quite easily just be like, well, I got you guys promoted. I was in the promotion team. Why have I, lost my place? But actually, I think they're all like that though, aren't they? They're all very much a team. They're all fighting for it together. And again, that comes down to McKenna and the kind of sort of ethos he sort of set up with the team, really. Yeah, I said yesterday, Matt, the partnership that Greaves and O'Shea are building. And I said this about Wolfenden and Greaves, to be fair, at the start of the season. And McKenna's made the changes, and that's why he's paid the big bucks. And I'm sat here talking on a podcast. But yesterday, their partnership was solid. They're both emerging as players at this level, Shea as well as Burgess. But in terms of Cam, he's had so many question marks. And as Tuck says there, I'm not sure if he's first choice. Well, the transfer fee for Greaves suggests he probably isn't, because you don't go and spend that money if you've got the first choice in the building necessarily. But he has done what you have to do as a football player, and that is taken the opportunity, and it's made it so hard now. So hard for McKenna to take him out.
Yeah, it's another headache he's got, isn't it? I mean, he made that really good block, didn't he, against Leicester? And then he does that clearance yesterday just inside the 6-yard box after Muric was beaten from Garnacho again, I think. So he's come in and played really well. I mean, I would never have guessed that in a million years, going back to games against Oxford, Wickham, where I was quite vocal on this channel and said I didn't think he was good enough to be in our defence. And I don't think he was back then. I only speak as I see it in real time. I didn't think he was. But again, someone else who's come on leaps and bounds under McKenna, and it's fantastic to see. I do think Greaves will come back in, because I think probably the reason he came and signed for us in the first place, we weren't the only club who was after him. He was linked at the top of the summer to West Ham. So the carrot was first team football. So I do think he will come back in. But, we've seen the team chop and change with formation and opposition and all that kind of stuff and tactics. So let's see what happens. But it wasn't that long ago everyone was saying Greaves are going to be playing for England this season. Now he's got injured and out of sight, and now everyone's on the Burgess train. But it is what it is, isn't it? But
I think he's an old-fashioned centre half, though, isn't he, Burgess? I know he's pretty good with his feet, but ultimately, sometimes you just need someone just to hump it in Rose Ed, and that's it. Job done. So
kick
it, edit, clear it, play when you can.
It's a good headache to have two good left-sided players there.
Yeah.
Because as Chris Hall said to us, they're quite rare actually to actually get someone who's comfortable on those sides. And we've got two there, but certainly I agree with Tuts. It feels like Burgess is probably the B option when Greaves is fit. And we thought he might be back yesterday, didn't we, Greaves? But he didn't even appear on the bench, did he? So
no, he didn't. But you feel like Greaves is that first option, but Cam has done exactly what you need to do. And Axel, I saw a stat. I don't know how true this is, but I'm going to bring it to the party anyway. He hasn't been dribbled past in the last 2 games. So against Tottenham, against Man United, no player has successfully dribbled past Axel Tuanzebe, Matt, which I don't know if that's true. People in the chat can go and find that out and confirm it with me.
Yeah, how do they work this out? I don't know.
But I want to live in the world that it is true, because what a stat, right? You've played against 2 of the top 10 in the Premier League. I know their league position, Man United at the moment doesn't say it, but they are a global football club. They are Man United. I know he's played there himself. But what a stat. And what a, just, I always said, Matt, left backs don't get you promoted. Wrong. Big time in a way. Although I didn't see any left back ever doing what Leif Davis did, but, still, I was wrong.
You did say that in League One when we had Stephen Ward there, to be fair.
That's true. Yeah, bombing down the wing.
Context to this.
There is context. But I never really valued a right back as high as I've suddenly come to value a right back in Axel. He's been sensational.
You need to raise your levels on what fullbacks can do.
Clearly.
In the same. And look, Axel isn't really a right back, really. He's centre half, to be honest with you. That's where I'd be playing him personally. But yeah, just shows you what a good footballer is. And again, someone who can read the game fantastically well, like Morsy does. And he has got that little bit of pace about him. I mean, when Hertzler at Brighton said Matoma just couldn't deal with Tuanzebe, we kept him really quiet, didn't we? As he was one of their threats. That's when he kind of came to the forefront. Has a really good game again, and then gets the injury. And then he comes to the forefront against Spurs. Has another great game yesterday. Brilliant. And to think he couldn't even get a club a year and a half ago, or whatever it was.
Well, he was dreadful when he first signed for us. I remember him playing. He was absolutely toilet.
Well, it took a while to get the ring rust shaken off. Is all I'm going to say to that. But he had trained with Luton, and they couldn't agree a deal there. But it all worked out brilliantly for him. I feel sorry for Harry Clark in a way, because he probably thought that was going to be his opportunity at right back, and now you've got Tuanzebe there. He returns from Arsenal back to his boyhood club, and now he's got Tuanzebe there. Brick wall.
Yeah, but he's a Rolls Royce. Like
he's really good,
sitting in the cobble stand. It's one of the major highlights of sitting in the cobble stand. You get to see Axel Tuanzebe for a whole 45 minutes, and it's just a joy to watch him up close and personal. He is so good. He reads it. He can play with. He's such a phenomenal player. I never valued the right back as high.
I don't think we've ever mentioned it on the show before, Martin, but he did captain Manchester United once.
You've mentioned it maybe once or twice, 1,000 times. But he's so good, so good.
He did take a while. He did take a while to get in, back into the swing of things. He wasn't very good against Leeds, and no one was in that 4-0, were they? But yeah, he's looking every inch of Premier League player right now. It's great to see. I mean, the more performances you get like this, the better our chances are of finishing 17th or higher.
Absolutely. That whole back four deserves a big round of applause for the last couple of games. They've been phenomenal, really.
And O'Shea's been playing through the pain barrier, apparently, with his broken bone in his back or whatever it is.
If that's him playing through the pain barrier, because he's really stepped it up. He's really coming on leaps and bounds week on week, and he's leading, he's commanding, he's strong. Maybe you want to see Freddie at Stowmarket Osteopaths. If you don't live life in pain, give Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths. 01449 613 633. Tell him the governor, that's me, at Talking Town, has sent you to Stowmarket Osteopaths. That wasn't actually pre-designed there, ladies and gentlemen. I just thought as Matt's lined it up.
It's just the way we work now. Here's a little bit of credit for you, mate. I'm drinking my tea out of one of our original Talking Town mugs this evening, which celebrated 2,000 subscribers. What are we on now? Tell everybody if they don't know.
Over 6,000. We have
gone
over the 6,000 subscriber mark. Yeah, it's good. Thank you so much for everyone, a single person to subscribe. You haven't yet, please do so. Like the show as well. But talking of tap-ins, what felt like a tap-in, and I missed the moment, Tux, because everyone in the stadium clearly thought it was a goal because everyone around me stood up. So I was like,
I was up.
I was up. Peek round backsides, but it wasn't. Nobody roared. Everyone groaned, and Onana somehow made himself big enough to keep it out. But Delap's performance, not just that moment, but Delap's performance for you, Danny Murphy, Tux, has called him Harry Kane's successor. Now, this is Danny Murphy been a bit slower than us at Talking Town. We've been saying it for a while. Not quite the Harry Kane successor, but certainly playing for England. They all catch up in the end. How did you see his performance, Tux?
Same as usual, really, isn't it? I think since he's been with us, I think he's a Rolls Royce of a kind of a striker in a sense that he's got everything about him that every modern day striker wants. So the fact he's kind of naturally gifted with some of these attributes is great for him and us, obviously. Fully expect him not to be here, obviously, in the summer, regardless of what league we're in, because I think he's going to go, to probably a top 10 side, if I'm honest with you. But, I think most importantly for us, we need to keep him fit. And what we're crying out for is a second striker to support him. I love Ali, but he's not at the level yet, if we're being polite about it. So
that was clear, wasn't it, yesterday?
Yeah.
That was very clear.
Sorry for him yesterday. I felt sorry for Ali. He looked like a player that hadn't played a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
He'd been brought back in because the guy above him in the pecking order had been injured. Yeah. He's a player, Tux. You say he's not at the level yet. This time last year, he's playing with AFC Wimbledon still. So you can't.
This is the thing. I think I'm very aware that he's had a massive jump in terms of his career and essentially fast tracked. He's not sort of gone from division to division. He's had a big jump. So, I think you've got to give him some credit from that point of view. But ultimately, he needs a loan. He needs to go out into the Championship and just get a solid season of football under his belt in that level. And then we obviously need someone to replace him, but essentially be the support mechanism for Delap. And I'll be looking at someone like Ferguson from Brighton who can't get a game for him. He'd be ideal for the way we play. But going back to kind of Delap, I think everyone's kind of waking up to the point that not just Delap but Ipswich can give these sides a good game now. And Delap is a focal point of that. He's scored a few goals now. But what I really like about him is just how powerful he is. I watched him a couple of times yesterday where he just shrugs off defenders and just runs with the ball. He's like a bulldozer, just bulldozes through people. And he's probably unlucky to not score yesterday, really. I know Onana made a great save to keep him out with the block, but he had a couple of other chances which again probably should have gone in, judging on his form at the moment. But a really solid signing, because there's lots of people at the start of the season thinking we spent a lot of money here on someone who isn't particularly proven at Premier League level.
But this is it. This is seemingly a player that's sort of come out of nowhere because nobody was talking about him in the summer, in terms of Championship pundits and saying, "Oh, this is a player that's ready for the next step. He's going to give you this, that, or the other." Town fans when they were signed him, or is it too steep, Matt? Is it all this? He's seemingly come out of nowhere. There's not really a weakness to his game that I can see. He almost scored with the Thierry Henry flick yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Just no words give it justice to what we see every single week with him. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's another one who's come on leaps and bounds in a very short space of time under McKenna, I think. I mean, who can remember him playing in the 3-0, the 3-1 victory over Hull? He plays in that game. No one came out of that stadium going, "Oh, we've got to sign that to Delap." And he scores in the 3-3 coming off from the bench, didn't he? After a half-time sub at their place. But he's come on leaps and bounds. But Man City obviously know the potential that he's got because they've got the buyback clause in there. So they'll get the first refusal, won't they? They ain't going to be refusing that. But of course, he's under a lengthy contract. So, people that do want to buy him, as Ashton said, going to have to come up with a lot of zeros on a check. And he's just looking brilliant. I love to watch him. And as Colin rightly says there, he's like a Paul Mariner, strong, good in the air, technically excellent. He's got all those attributes at 21. He's 21.
Yeah.
You'd think he was mid to late 20s the way he plays. And he gets on the ball and he starts running at defences. The Man United back three must have been shitting themselves. He's running towards you because, like Tux rightly says, he's a battering ram. He's a bulldozer. And, we saw an element of that, didn't we, in the Fulham game where he scores from distance. And when he was doing those runs yesterday, I was thinking, if he shoots here, he's got a really good opportunity of putting us in the lead. But he had the two, like you say, Tux, he had the two, maybe the back heel wasn't a sitter, but certainly it felt like the first one was. And I would have put my mortgage on him scoring it. And it was a good save from Onana. That's what happens when you go up against class keepers. They make saves like that, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, the world's his oyster. He could be the next Harry Kane. Who knows? Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah. He's been absolutely, the Man United right-sided centre-half knows who he is now as well. Introduced himself so kindly by the away fans in the corner, sent him nearly 3 foot into the stand. Bless him. But it was a cordial hello. Well,
is that Mazarawi, was it?
I think it was, yeah. He has one of those sort of game though, doesn't he? And I like that. I really like that because he gets the crowd up. And I think he's a player that feeds off emotion. I think he needs that to feed back off it and get himself back going again. And it was all or nothing. And you love that as a fan, don't you? When it's all or nothing and it's blood, it's passion, it's thunder, it's goals, excitement.
Tux, why we got you on the show tonight? What are you thinking in terms of January then? Because obviously we see Ali's thrusted into action, and we've said before he should be in the Championship, like you rightly said. So are you thinking Ipswich are going to get like a loan? I think they need 2 strikers because you can't rely on Hurst's dodgy injury record once he's back, sadly. So I think they would look to buy one and loan one is my thinking. And my thinking is I think maybe that Ferguson could be the loan, and Latte Laff they'll go back, who they tried to get in August, would be the one they try and sign, I think.
Yeah, I think certainly one, obviously, because, regardless of what's happening with Hurst, you need somebody that's going to be a support for Delap. And, Ali, to be fair to him and, for us and for the player, he needs a loan to give him some confidence and, just show us what he's about, really. Because he is still young. But we've obviously, discussed the fact that he has had a big jump. But whether we'll sign 2 strikers or not, I don't know, because I think it depends what striker it is. It depends where they're coming from, because, if Borough, challenging for promotion, he might think that he wants to be a part of that, and stay with them and get promoted. And if he's then going to be potentially maybe a sort of a 3rd choice striker, and then you still might get relegated this year, then, he might not want that. Obviously, if money talks, doesn't it? But, from a football aspect, I would be going for Ferguson. I think he's that type of player that we do, that fits our system and the way we play. Yeah. I suppose it's whether you kind of look at it from more of a plan B, and Latte Laff does fit into that, I guess. He's a bit more pacey from that point of view. But certainly 1 striker and then letting Ali go out on loan would be my preference.
It's such a sorry, Mike. I was going to say it's such a on a razor's edge, isn't it, at the moment? Because God forbid Delap gets injured, then you're looking at Al Hamidi or Smodix.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I'm really kind of sort of concerned, and going back to even Morsy, he's obviously due a suspension at some point because he'll get his 5th yellow. But if something Davis went down last night, clutching his ankle, without really anything that was going on. And that was a bit
They
of a
passed
worry.
to him as well. They
Yeah.
passed the ball to him, didn't they?
Yeah,
From our
exactly.
free kick. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
But when you see those things, it's sort of heart and mouth sort of situation.
Yeah, it
You
is,
think, oh
yeah.
Christ, he's going
It
to go
is,
off,
yeah.
and we won't see him for another few weeks. But he played on. But my point being is that something that happens to Davis, something that happens to Delap, you know, all this kind of stuff that does happen in football. We don't have that squad depth. We've got a good, you know, 11 that, you know, will challenge and give teams a game. But I do worry for very key players if there is a bit of an issue there.
Yeah.
So we just need to get to January, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wonder if, you know, the public interest in Latilath that came late. I wonder if that shows perhaps where they are in terms of where he was on their priority list of strikers they'd like to bring in, and whether there are strikers ahead of him on the list where they go and look at perhaps on the continent again, etc. But I do feel this next month, you know, it's going to really help. Well, not make or break, but it could really help make that argument on January the 1st when you pick up the phone, because you've got some big games coming up. You obviously two of which are teams around you. You've shown to the world that you can play at this level. You've shown to the world, games like yesterday, to players that perhaps had question marks in the summer about newly promoted, back-to-back promotions. Are they ready? Will they really struggle, etc.? You've really shown that you can hang in this division, but obviously you want to put up points on the board and climb that league table. And some big games coming up, perhaps in January. If you can start to pick up those wins in the next month, we'll show those potential targets, Matt and Tux. You know, players on the continent who had those question marks, or people speaking about, well, will they, you know, can they do this or that? It could really help make that case, as it were.
It just feels like we spent too long on targets that didn't come. Like, they don't get Brozier over the line because he's injured, and like as we said the other night, he still ain't even played for Everton yet. They signed him in August, and that Ioannidis, we hadn't scored a goal at all in the Greek league yet, so maybe we dodged
saving it all for Town.
Yeah, I mean, like, they put in a bid. What was it, 22 million for him? Yeah. I mean, there is not. Look, we'd floated back in the summer. We don't really know what any of the context around it, but that's why I would just try and got in Kiefer Moore on a nominal fee. You'd have wanted him off the bench yesterday rather than Ali, wouldn't you? And he's a Premier League international player. But it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you, Tux. When you see key players going down, it's because we're so much they're so invested in how we play.
Yeah.
Davis down the left-hand side, Delap scoring the goals, you know, Smodic's cutting in, whoever it might be. And if they get injured, it does feel like, you know, our chances of survival lessen.
Well, this is the other thing as well. Just talking about January, it's a very hard. I think a lot of people kind of forget it's a very hard market to deal in.
Yes,
and it's not like the summer, where you don't have free pick as such, but you kind of, players are coming to the end of their contract, so it makes it a bit more easy. You can get a free transfer, a Bosman transfer, whatever it might be. But January, this is kind of a sort of a loan market for me. It's kind of picking up, as Martin said earlier, looking at players that might not be playing for their parent clubs at the moment, that are essentially a fringe player. But I suppose using Latte Laugh as an example, when we was in the Championship last year, if a Prem club comes along and says, George Hurst, come and sign for us, you're not saying yes, are you? Do you know what I mean? It's the same with Borough. So they're going to be looking at that from a point of view that they're also going for promotion, and they don't want their best players to leave. So in a way, you're then paying over the odds for that player. If you really want him, fine. But for a third choice striker, would you play over the odds for it?
And everything they've done so far has been part of a jigsaw puzzle. You know, it hasn't been a perhaps Kiefer Moore was a for now.
Yeah.
That's probably the one signing you look at and you think that was a for now signing, whereas every other signing, you know, Broadhead, etc., in January particularly, has always been a part of the jigsaw, part of the you know, 2 or 3 steps ahead. Which again, with a loan signing, that could still follow that pattern, but with a permanent signing, you certainly would think they would be looking.
I'd arguably say that we're still we're probably in a similar situation where we were last January. So last January, Hurst was injured. We then had to get Kiefer Moore in as kind of a temporary sort of fix to get us over line into the Premier League. We're kind of at that sort of stage again, albeit that Hurst isn't the main striker this year. We've obviously got Delap, but we do need a second striker to really complement Delap and certainly give him a breather when he has run his race after 60, 70 minutes. So we are still in that position, I think, where we probably will go after somebody that's a bit more temporary, but I'd want them to really have a bit of sort of Premier League experience, even if they're a bit older, because that's what Ali can't offer you at the moment because he hasn't got that experience. He's got pace and he's got a will to go, but sometimes you just need that sort of Premier League experience to sort of get you over the line in this type of season, really.
Potentially even a Delap replacement, because he's being talked about. That's not going to go away, you hope, because obviously if it does go away, it means he's run out of form, and we would really struggle without that form at the moment. But you could potentially obviously be needing to find that, particularly if you don't stay in the division. I've dropped the link. I'll try and get as many people on as we can. Obviously, we'll be closing in 15. But before we do, and I know this player's going to get mentioned by people coming in, so I'm going to leave the goal and the goal scorer just on the sidelines for a minute, because I'm sure we're going to come to him when people come on and talk about. But I want to talk about two incidences off the field. First of all, Roy Keane, obviously back at Portman Road. There was a video went around yesterday where some words were exchanged. We'll put it that way. Matt, did you see the video, and what are your thoughts on said video?
I thought it was pathetic. I thought it was pathetic from our fan and pathetic from Keane, to be honest with you. But Simon Jordan said on TalkSport today, Roy Keane sits in a luxury studio at Portman Road opining about how good or bad players are. Then he comes down pitch side and someone says you're a better pundit than you were a manager, and he gets the ump. I don't know. He's sort of gone into a bit of a parody to me. Like, it was almost like it was artificial intelligence. Oh, he's Roy Keane getting an earful off a fan, and now he's saying he's going to meet him out in the car park. It was like a sketch, really. He's 53, 54. He don't have to play the hard man anymore. That was his playing days, on Haaland at Man City. Alf-Inge Haaland, when he sent him 360, do you remember? And then and gets sent off. Don't try and sort of be that kind of character, I think, in your 50s. I don't know. I liked Keane as Ipswich manager, and it didn't work out for him with us, but it was great when he was there and he had the profile and everything. And like you said, Martin, it's like, how many years on now? He left in 2011. It's 13 years ago. So I
didn't know anyone could hold that level of grudge for that long.
Well, we want to see you versus McCarthy is what we want to see. Then we'll find out the level of grudge.
I don't dislike McCarthy enough to tell him what I think of him. When I'm watching him, when I stayed behind the game to tell him what I think. I don't know
what you think, Tux. I never like it when people go, "I've paid me money, I'll say what I want." No, well, it doesn't work like that.
But the game's over by this point.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I just hate the fact that people, because they've paid for a seat and got a ticket, they feel like they can say what they want to people. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I don't know. It's a debate in itself. I think you're entitled to your opinion is one thing, but I suppose at the same time you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to shout it at something.
The Keane's not playing either.
Yeah. I think for me, it's. I was having this chat with a mate in the WhatsApp group yesterday, and he was the same as you, Martin. I think it's been 13 years, whatever it's been, since he was at the club. So a lot of water's gone under the bridge. But I think what the issue is that Keane brought a book out, slated the Ipswich fans, slated certain parts of Ipswich.
Oh, did he? I've not read the book.
Yeah,
wouldn't know.
So I think that's where it sort of boiled down from. Obviously, his tenure here wasn't great either, but I think a lot of it's come from the book. But going back to Matt's point, he doesn't help himself at all. This is a guy that, has got a switch. And when that switch is gone, he doesn't care in a way. He doesn't even think about it. I think for me, I hated Keane when he was here. I hated the comments he was saying about about us in his book. But probably in the last 4 or 5 years, I've grown to really love him as a pundit. I think he's great entertainment. I think he's great value. But this is the first time he's come back to Portman Road since he was manager. So you're going to get the odd person, just chancing their arm for a reaction, I guess.
And he got one in big style. Lady says, meet in the car park, not a £15 a time, which we'll probably get to on another show. And lastly, the new Man United manager was being interviewed pitchside by the team, and Ed Sheeran appears. And there's been lots of talks today about is it disrespectful? It was his moment, his first interview as Man United manager after a game. Ed had no business being there. I've heard Jeff Stelling talk about it. I've heard other people talk about it. Tux, have you got an opinion on Ed Sheeran's even issued an apology, which I just felt was, well, why are we apologising for, Ed? You did nothing wrong. You own part of the football club. You want to be on the pitch, mate. You're Ed Sheeran, right? Sky Sports are getting a lot more out of that than perhaps you were, in the sense of, Ed's on Sky, quick, get him on. But how did you see it? What were your thoughts? if you had any?
I suppose it's a little bit like the kind of Fabio Wardley stuff where, I think there's a lot of fans that might think that Fabio Wardley, why is he here? He's a boxer. I know he's an Ipswich fan, but should he be on the team bus at the promotion party? All those kind of sort of questions. But, for me, Ed Sheeran, I don't think he needs to apologise for it. I mean, quite frankly, you're going to hear from Ruben every bloody week, because he's a United boss anyway. You're not going to hear it from Ed Sheeran every week because essentially, the reason why that game was on Sky was because Man United were in town.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't see what all the noise is about. Like, okay, so he gate crashed his interview, and
yeah, I don't think he should have done that. To be honest with you, with
Why?
my media hat on.
Okay, so you've got Ed Sheeran walking past, Matt, global megastar. You're the Sky Sports producer. You're not going to try and get him on. You're not going to say we should probably try and get Ed on here, shouldn't we? I mean, they'll be showing him through the course of the game every 5.5 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah. Does he just, because I've not seen the segment, does he just arrive unannounced or something? Is that what happens?
Looks like it. Yeah, I've seen bits of it, but it looks like it. I mean,
yeah. If I was like producing that segment or whatever, you'd have just wanted Amorin there. So really? I do get that. Well, nothing to apologise for particularly, but who knows what was going on behind the scenes and whether or not they told him to go over there. I don't know. But going back to your other point, Tux, Fabio Wardley can do what he wants because no one's going to be confronting him, are they?
Yeah.
They ain't going to be meeting him in the car park.
I don't know.
Everybody running to your car.
If I'm this town fan, wherever he may be,
he can do exactly what he wants when he wants.
Yeah. He certainly can. All right, bring the Fisherman in. Fisherman, welcome in. What's your thoughts this evening?
Mike. Hiya.
All right, boys, how you doing? All right?
All right.
Very well, thank you. What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I weren't able to go to the game yesterday because I'm not going to go into it, but let's put it this way, I'm pretty raging. So I couldn't take. I couldn't take my brother, and I weren't going to go without my brother. So it was, a bit of a sore point, I'm afraid. So I sat here watching it, but look, I didn't think. Let's go for the first, say, two minutes. Obviously, we were 1-0 down. For me, that player, I can't think of his name now. When Caduce made that tackle, that player was on momentum. He was going forward. He was blasting forward with pace. Morsy did his best to come. Morsy did his best to get back and try and stop the cross. For me, O'Shea went from oh shit to oh wow. In that game, he was at fault for that. He should have stopped that. He should too busy ball watching, not looking at your runner. Do you know what I mean? Not looking at the players that are coming in, and that's basic 101 defending. Muric is expecting that. What he's not expecting is Rashford to come in. That should have been O'Shea's job. And then O'Shea went from oh shit to completely unbelievable. I thought that was by far his best game. I thought he was brilliant. And I've given him some stick. I've given Muric some stick. And I'm always the first one to call out the goalkeeper. So for me, it was, look, we were caught cold. We were, we were probably still in the changing rooms a little bit. But then I thought Man United were there for the taking. And I think if that hadn't been for their goalkeeper, we'd have won that comfortably. And I do mean comfortably because I thought from our back, I mean, this week there's been this utter tosh talking about, Greaves is fit, he comes back in. No, you don't change your winning formula. At the moment, we've got Burgess who's been playing outstanding. I don't care how much Greaves costs. Greaves could have cost £50 million. For me, right now, Burgess has done an absolute fantastic job. And you can see that with the way his partnerships he works well with Leif Davis. He works well with, he's clearly works well with O'Shea, who at the moment I think has definitely earned his place ahead of Wolfenden, as much as I like Wolfenden. Tuanzebe has just been outstanding. Again, stats back that up. But yesterday it was the two holding mids, Morsy and Caduce, that absolutely controlled the midfield. They proper controlled the midfield as well. Like they'd been in a Premier League for like 2 or 3 seasons. They were just, Caduce for me was man of the match. To come back and make that tackle in the area, that's 3 points saved there, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
And I just feel that everybody was just brilliant. I mean, Delap, what a shithouse he is. I mean, he bundled over that, what's his name? Bezat, I can't pronounce his names. Man United's right back, didn't he? Right on the corner flag, bundled him over and stood up to him and say, well, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And I thought, you know what? That's the first time I thought, it's about time we had a shithouse at Ipswich, because every club's got one. Why can't we have one? Why can't we have a proper... And Delap is that kind of player. And he just offers so much. Hutchinson, I think, but like, I've been a great advocate for putting Hutchinson more on the right-hand side. But I will say, whatever Kieran McKenna said to Hutchinson, Hutchinson's not playing what I call a natural 10 role. He's playing that floating role. Do you know what I mean? He's a kind of... He's gone between... He's like an 8 and a 10 mixed with the way he moves. He moves around that cross that behind Delap and stuff. The way, and then I know he got a bit of a lucky deflection with the shot, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. And he was doing that for us last season, and he just cut in and whacked 1-1. How Delap didn't score, I don't know. Onana, unbelievable, 2 unbelievably good saves there. I just feel that, we were just last couple of seasons we've had a lot of luck go our way, and this season we haven't had a lot. And I think if this had been last season, that would have been them 2 goals that have probably gone in. But this season it's just not happening. We're not losing many, but we ain't winning many, and that's my only concern. We shouldn't fear after yesterday and the Tottenham game, and I know that we lost heavily at Everton, but look, we shouldn't, and West Ham obviously, but I don't think we should fear anything. I think our biggest downside to us at the moment is the fact we've got so many injuries in key areas, really. Especially up front, because Al Hamadi, it was like we had no. It was like someone shouting to one of the fans on the side, sideline, who wants to go up front, because Al Hamadi was awful. I mean, it was just, we might as well have been playing with 10 men, because it was Jonathan Douglas, Paul. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was. He really wasn't great.
I'd never go that far, Mike.
Oh, he wasn't great. Come on, he wasn't. And
no, but I'd never go that far. I've never ever go that far. But I see your point. I do see your point. And
he wasn't great. He lacks pace, doesn't he? Just lacks no pace there at all. He'll never be a Premier League player. For me, he'll be a League One player. And at the time we bought him, he was doing well, obviously, in League Two, I think it was, wasn't it? And we were in the Championship. We probably wasn't expecting to go straight up like we did. So we bought him maybe on the chance that he could probably sort of score a few goals in the Championship, but he's never going to be a Premier League player. And I guess my only final thought really would be, look, we just need to calm down a little bit where Delap's concerned. I think the pundits are making too much of it as well, because you've only got to look at Chris Wood. He was with us for 3 months or something silly like that. And, he's played 127 games in the Premier League and he's scored 49 goals. And yet he's not being touted as the next Keane. Do you know what I mean? You just got to be careful with these young players. Let's not hype them too much. The reason why Rashford isn't the player he is, when you're sitting there spending £750,000 on a Mansouri Rolls Royce and crashing it within 1,000 miles, you just got to think, well, that's where the problem of football of these young lads are. They need to keep their feet on the ground. And this is another thing with our team. We've got a group of lads that have worked their way through the ranks. Do you know what I mean? They've come from like some non-league right through to League One, League Two, into the Championship. Burgess, like you say, he was playing. It was a Accrington Stanley, wasn't it? If I might remember correctly, I think it was. And look at him now, Premier League player. I just feel that this is why we have the players that we have. They come up to us. They'll sign autographs when they can. They'll speak to the fans when they can. Kieran's the same. Speak to the fans, and I think obviously there's that video going around of Roy Keane having a go at that fan, and people going, "Oh, the fan should know better. He should be better." No, he shouldn't. Roy Keane, right, came to this club, right, thought he was the bee's knees. I remember Bury Town when he refused to sign autographs to kids. He said, "I'm here to manage, not sign autographs." Well, okay, yeah, I get your first point, but there's kids. You know, there's kids that are watching this and they're going to be wanting to come watch you play football. You know, you're a hero to some of them, you know, because of what you've achieved at Man United. And then just because one fan gives him a bit of stick on the sideline, he goes, "Oh, do you want to have a chat with him in the car park?" I mean, grow up. Great pundit. I love him as a pundit, but grow up, mate. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was more embarrassing, not the fan. It was Roy Keane one was more embarrassing. You know what I mean?
No, all fair points, all good points, Mike. It's a pleasure to see you back on the screen again. You look after yourself. All the best.
I always try.
Good man. Look after yourself. He did mention obviously Chris Wood there. He can't be a Harry Kane successor because obviously he's from New Zealand, or he plays for New Zealand, which is a bit of an issue. But I see his point in terms of pumping the brakes a little bit and just pulling back on it. You mentioned Ali Al-Hamadi. He had a few things to say there. Some things I disagree with, particularly with Jonathan Douglas. Anything you want to pick up there, Tux, or are you happy to move on to the next person?
I think we've sort of covered Ali, but I think, you know, ultimately the guy just needs, you know, a chance in the sense that he just needs to go out on loan and play a full season of football, because he has come from League Two. Yes, he scored goals and he's played for Wimbledon for a couple of years, all that sort of stuff. But to really kick his career to the next level and be a real part of it, he needs to go and have a real sort of good crack at the Championship for me.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right, I'm not going to get everybody on because time is pressing. So apologies if you don't come on. Who haven't we? I'll bring in Phil. Phil, what's your points? Make them quick tonight, Phil, because obviously time is pressing and we want to try and get everyone on. But what are your thoughts this evening? What are you looking to chomp at a bit to tell us?
Well, I think you guys have talked about every point that I was going to talk about tonight, but just to get on, I'm going to start with Ed Sheeran. You know, for him to gate crash the Sky interview like that was probably not the right thing to do. I think he probably waited.
Yeah, he's part of the football club.
I think I tend to agree with Matt on it, because, you know, he didn't barge in, but he just kind of popped up, and then Jamie Redknapp just said hello, shook his hand, and he just kind of exited stage right. And I'm going to say, but psychologically, right, I think if that had been me, if I'd have been, you know, the famous one, you know, my club, just going in there as a psychological blow to Ruben Amorim in his first game in charge of Manchester United, where they've come down to little old Ipswich, expecting to turn us over, go back to Manchester with 3 points. And there's a big psychological, how do I say it? Hi, I'm Ed Sheeran. I'm the superstar of the show, not Amorim. And it was like that. And it just felt like a psychological blow, even though he was kind of just on there for a few seconds and then shuffled off by Jamie Redknapp. That was kind of a funny moment. But the situation with Roy Keane, that fan, I mean, it just goes to show that, you know, people have got long memories, and, you know, that fan who challenged Keane to that, whatever it was that he challenged him to, was a bit silly, but a bit farcical, a bit comical at the same time. But I wouldn't want to go out of the car. I wouldn't want to pay £15 and, you know, to lump Roy Keane.
No, it blew me away, because there's people in 2024 who've upset me. I don't hate. You know, we're talking decades here, but all right. But Phil, what's your one more thing? I'm joking.
Well, okay, so right, okay, I think for me there was more than one or two players that shone yesterday. For me, I thought the spine of the team, you know, O'Shea, Burgess, Morsy, Kayust, Delap, Omar. Look, we've got a team that will continue to improve, and I can't wait until the January transfer window opens, because we just need that missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle for me, whether it be probably, I don't know, number 9 or a player that can play both right-sided, you know, attack and up front. Because really, I'm saying now, when you look at the squad, we're kind of looking for a replacement for Ogbeni as well. So, you know, it could be 2 players that he goes for in January, not one, and I'd be looking forward to that. So yeah, I think we've got the money. Ashton said he's going to spend the money in January. I'm going to say January transfer window for us over the last couple of seasons has been pivotal. Let's face it, in winning for us to get over the line. Obviously, the last 2 seasons straight, and I'm fully expecting the same thing to happen this time round. And when you look at the league table, the number of points that kind of separates, I don't know, the bottom 6 teams, the top 6 teams, isn't that big. It really is. It isn't that big. It's what 7, 8, 9 points, something like that. And I guess when you look at how teams have performed, I'm saying when you look at the top 4, there's only one team that's really performing at the moment. That's Liverpool. Arsenal have got got injury problems. Man City have got probably even bigger injury problems, and they've dropped points over the last 2, 3, 4 games. And okay, the season isn't won in November. It's won April, May time. There's still a lot of football to be played, but for us, the January transfer window is going to be pivotal. And just looking at our performance yesterday, it annoys me when I'm watching programs like Match of the Day and other podcasts where they're just mentioning 1 or 2 players. Yeah, Liam Delap, he's had a fantastic start to the season, 6 goals in 12 league games. He hasn't started all of those games. I think he came on a sub 1 or 2 of those games. And could he be a Harry Kane successor? Might be, possibly. I'll go along with that. But to hear Danny Murphy say that Match of the Day last night was really, really nice to hear. And I listened to 1 or 2 other podcasts with other big names, and they're saying the same thing. But it does frustrate me now that they're not talking about us as a Premier League team. Still, they're still kind of talking about we've come up, we're still struggling, we expect to struggle, but they're not really picking up on the way that we're playing our football, which frustrates me. I think Alan Shearer mentioned it on the podcast that he's on, was it last night or early this morning, which was kind of nice. But look, we've got a run of games coming up. The 2 home games against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. I still think we can go to Forest on Saturday and get a result. I think we can go there and beat them, even though they've lost the last 2 games against Newcastle and Arsenal.
Are
stumbling, yeah.
So it could be a good time to play Forest.
Absolutely.
And we need to keep as many players as fit as we can. I was a bit concerned when Davis went down yesterday. I thought, oh God, Connor Townsend time. What a game to make his baptism of fire. And Amari too. It was good to see Amari get some minutes, Premier League minutes under his belt, because he's such a young player. We all forget he's about the same age as Delap, so his development is not going to be as quick as Delap. He does need minutes, maybe at the Championship level, to build up his experience and confidence. But let's not forget the work that Cameron Humphreys is doing at Wycombe Wanderers.
Yep. No, we're not forgetting it, but we
need to move on.
Precious, and I haven't got time to really talk about Cam Humphreys, but he is a very good example of what Alan perhaps needs to do on loan, in the sense of go out and play, get that form flowing, get those, get that progression, to keep following what he's doing. But Phil, as always, expert opinions. I say expert. There's opinions. You can't be an expert in opinions, but you know what I mean. Thanks very much for coming on the show and having your say. I appreciate it. All the best. I'm going to bring Colin in the show. Before I do, I want to get both your thoughts on Amari. I must say, I'm surprised no one's really talked about him yet. So, Tux, Amari, yesterday he took Evans to the cleaners once or twice. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think obviously his best game for me was the week before against Spurs. I thought he was absolutely unreal.
Great, yeah.
And sort of continued that form really into United yesterday. So I think what I like about him at the moment is that he's sort of finding his level in the Premier League. I think certainly the early part, or certainly the early games, he held on to the ball for too long and didn't really bring other players into the game. But I think he has found his feet, and I was really impressed with him again yesterday. So yeah, I still don't really know where his best position is, if I'm honest, whether it's a 10 or out wide, but he's certainly doing all right at the moment.
Yeah, Matt, obviously that goal we've seen so many times in the Championship. We finally saw it in the Premier League, and it was some finish, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was brilliant goal. He was fantastic yesterday, Murray Hutchinson. Again, you saw the twists and the turns, and the little tricks, and I seem to think he just wants to thrive in these big games, like Tux rightly says. He's really good against Spurs. He's really good against Manchester United. So he's been on 2 of the biggest stages and really impressed. It was a fantastic goal. I mean, I agree with you. So it's, whether or not he's a 10 or playing out on the right, not sure. But he scores that goal in either position anyway, because he's cutting in on his left foot and shooting, like you said, Martin, as we saw in the Championship last season.
I think the only thing I would add to that is that I would just like to see a bit more of it, as in like shots from outside of the box from players like Amari, because we know he can do it. And I know a lot of it, the emphasis is, you know, essentially going forward, passing it, all that sort of stuff. But sometimes just having a fucking dig is good. You know, just put it in the back of the net.
Yeah. If you don't shoot, you can't score. If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can't win the jackpot.
I don't know about you two. Now Phil's been on, he was wearing that green bubbly top. I feel like I want a can of 7-Up. You know what I mean? With icing. By Paul in Tenerife somewhere.
If you played East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery, you perhaps could afford to buy a little trip to Tenerife. No, I'm not sure the prices are that much, but you can support the crucial work of the East Anglian Air Ambulance by playing their their lottery online. Head to their website in the description for more information. It's weekly, prizes to be won, and you do support the East Anglian Air Ambulance. I'm sure you can all agree it is well worth it. A charity, and they deserve our support in everything that they do. So head to the description in our description. Head to the description in our description. No, head to the link in our description.
That's it.
For more information on the East Anglian Air Ambulances lottery. Okay, we're going to end with Colin. Colin, I'm so sorry. We've only got a few minutes. I'm really sorry. I wish I'd brought you in earlier. It's my fault. I've dropped the ball. But you are here. So you've got a few minutes. Let us know. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings? Jump straight into it.
Hi, Colin.
Oh, you're on mute, Colin. You're on mute, mate. Hello, Colin. Are you there?
We can't hear you.
Colin?
Give it a second. Hang on, bring him back.
He's
bring
gone.
Back.
I can't bring him back. He's gone. As in, like, he's gone. So I can't bring him back. Like,
oh no.
He has to click the link. Anyway, all right. Bold and Blue. At least we now have the same points as Derby County had when they were relegated for the Premier League. Who was in charge of that Derby County team? Anyone remember?
Paul Jewell?
Another one of our fantastic.
Was it Paul Jewell?
Yeah, it was. Paul Jewell.
Yeah.
Robbie Savage in midfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it Darren Moore centre back? I think as well, wasn't he?
More than likely.
Yeah.
They went down with 11 points, didn't they?
I know it was a really low point.
I think it was 11. That is pitiful, isn't it? What are we on now? 9?
9. We're getting there. Colin, you're back. Far
Colin,
away.
Speak to us.
Hello.
Hey.
Jump straight into it, Colin. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll jump straight into it. But first of all, I'd just like to say how proud I am to be a Town fan today. You know, we've the 12 games we've played. I was thinking about it today. I mean, we've played at least, you know, when you think about Liverpool, Villa, Fulham, obviously Man City, yesterday United. I don't care where they are in the league. I mean, they are globally one of the biggest clubs in the world. And you know, when you think about it, over 12 games, all right, we drew 6 of them, but we could have quite easily won 3 or 4 of them. And out of the 12 games, we've been like undefeated in 7 games. And look, at the start of the season, when we saw our first 10, 11, 12 games, and who we got in those 10 or 11, 12 games, surely everybody to a man or woman would have accepted 7 undefeated games out of those first 12. And if anybody says no, I will call you a liar, because we would all have accepted that, Gov. And I think the greatest thing about all of this is that, like we all know, Gov, Matt and Tux, we've been in at least 70%, at least 70 or 80% of those games where we've had like, for example, how many teams will go to Brighton this year and draw or win? Not many. There won't be. We could have quite easily won there. Did we deserve to? Probably not. But we could have done. We should have beat Villa, in my opinion. We could and should have beat Fulham. You know, even if we'd have won those couple of games, and we're all forgetting Leicester, where really we was robbed, in my opinion. We could have quite easily got 3 points there. So even if we'd have got 3 against, another 2 against Leicester, another 2 against Villa, let's leave Fulham as a point. So we had another 2, 4. We could have quite easily got another 2 yesterday, 6. That would have put us on 15 points. And
Mid-table.
my God, we'd have been well up that table.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got a little bit of bad news. West Ham had just scored, well, a couple of weeks ago, West Ham had just scored a second at Newcastle. But
Two
I
up.
think, and to be fair, I mean, Newcastle were nearly all over them in the first half, but missed their chances. But
Right.
I think that underlines what people have been saying tonight about this league this year. There's so many teams beating each other this year. So the Premier League, apart from a couple of 3 teams, is very, very, in my opinion, is very similar to the Championship this year. There's a lot of teams beating each other, you know, and that remains to see where a lot of these clubs who are maybe in the top 7 or 8 now will finish, because you can quite easily go, like in the Championship, you can quite easily go up and down. You know, in a couple of 3 games, and I'll tell you what I do. I thought Mike made a lot of good points tonight. Bless him. Phil made a good point. I honestly believe, although we ain't got a great record at a sea ground, I've got a funny feeling we might just catch him a bit cold on Saturday, and I'd probably, if I was pushed, I'd probably forecast a draw, if I'm being honest, and I'd be happy with the points at the City Ground. It's not an easy place to go. But I don't think there's a place that we can really. I don't think we should fear the game. I really don't, and I think Nuno will be a little bit not so much worried, but a little bit, you know, thinking, you know, this is going to be a little bit more difficult than I thought maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, and I think all things considered, I think we've had a very, very good start to the season, and all these things what I've been talked about Keane and Ed, especially the Keane thing. Come on, let's just brush this under the carpet. It's absolutely pathetic, and you know, and the Ed thing, it was just one of those things what happened, and you know, another thing which just really needs to be brushed under the carpet really and forgotten about. Because I thought, you know, I looked yesterday. I went into the ground early yesterday because I didn't feel really that well yesterday, to be honest. So I went in the ground early and I put my flag up and I sat there. And there wasn't that many people in the ground. I got in really early. And I don't normally do that, but I did last night. And I was looking from Bobby Upper, and everything looks, all the plaque and everything looks so pristine from where I sat. And I thought, and I felt really proud. I felt really proud, you 3, last night. Our club has come together so well. And another thing, I agree with Phil. I'm really looking forward to January. I think we will be very active in the market, and I've got a funny feeling. You know, I know Mike weren't too keen, but I think we'll go. I personally think we'll go back after that Elath, and I honestly think if we want him, I think we'll get him.
Perfect. Well,
I'll tell you what, Martin. I did feel sorry for. I did personally. I felt sorry for Ali when he came on yesterday, because he didn't look. Yeah, I must. It's got to be said, Gav. I didn't think he looked fit. I thought, to be honest with you, I know Liam had run his socks off, but I don't think, and I'm not being nasty to Ali at all, because I love the lad. I'd love to see him do well. But I don't think it would have been any worse off by leaving Liam on for another 10 minutes. I honestly don't. You know, it's a shame. It is a real shame. And also, just quickly, underline another thing Phil said, it's got to be spoken about Cameron Humphreys, because I'll tell you what, he has been. I know it's in League One, but he's playing a very good side down there, and he's been ripping it up. I still do watch the EFL on a Saturday, and he's been getting a lot of assists. He's got 3 or 4 goals, and he's doing very, very well. I've got a funny hunch about me. Even if we're still in the Premier League, which I think we will be.
Yep.
I've got a funny feeling he might come back in the summer. Because the reason I say that is because I believe Kieran, like he did with Sonny, I believe he really loves Cameron Humphreys as a footballer, as a player. I think he's technically excellent. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back. I really wouldn't in the summer. A lot of people would probably disagree with that, but I don't know. That's my feelings about it.
Excellent. That's an excellent opinion, and one we'll look forward to sort of discussing as the season unfolds. But Colin, thank you for jumping on the show. I'm sorry I kept you so long,
No
but I
problem.
appreciate your opinions
Cheers,
and your
boys.
thoughts. Tux, thank you for coming on to the show with us this evening. I know it's been a bumper show. Apologies on that one if you had plans this evening, but just to sort of put a nice, neat little bow on it, what would be one word to sum up the experience, the game, overall, whatever it might be from yesterday?
I don't know, Martin. I'll have to come back to you on that, I think.
You come back to me. That's not a problem. Matthew, we are back midweek with our Forest preview. Looking forward to that. I'm meeting the opposition this week as well. So if you've got any questions for our Nottingham Forest fan, please either drop them in the Discord or there'll be a community notice as well. But I'm looking forward to that. You're with me for the Forest preview, aren't you, Matthew? You're looking at me very vaguely there.
I believe so. I believe so.
Proud,
I was just trying to think of a word. Proud, I'd say, similar to what Colin said when he sat in the stadium yesterday.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Yeah.
We got the win at Spurs. No one thought we'd do it, and let alone me. And then yesterday we get the 1-1 draw and played really well in front of a watching globe. So fantastic, yeah, proud.
And Tux is also saying proud, and Andy Barrell is saying growth. So there we go, growth and proud and growth. It's what you want. But thank you very much. That man there's the peaky one. That's the Mini Mogul. I've been the Gov. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you midweek for our Nottingham Forest match preview and our Meet the Opposition. But till then, take care. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I